In today's lesson, we're going to talk about how to take the lead that we practiced in our last lesson, writing one of the 6 effective leads. How do we add that to a narrative we've already started, and how do we make it connect to the narrative that we already wrote when we wrote our 144 words? So if you look at this little checkbox, we're going to start with a lead, which is usually the first 1 or 2 sentences of our introduction. A transition is a sentence or two that will connect the lead to the body of what you're writing. And then the narrative is what we've already started. That's our 144 words. So in the next slide, you're going to see I started with the lead that you guys voted on, and thank you very much for voting for that one. That was my favorite. And then you're going to see that's in one color. And then you're going to see another color of text, which are what my transitions. It's going to help me bridge the gap between my lead sentences and my actual written narrative. So stay tuned. So in red, you're going to see the lead that was voted upon in the poll. This is an example of setting the mood. The song of the loons echoes across the lake, filling the night with a peaceful symphony. So as a writer, I have to think to myself, okay, so how do I connect the idea or this image of the Song of the Loons to my family's camp? It would be really abrupt, and it would not have a good flow if I immediately started my next sentence with my family's camp is hidden at the end of the road. So what I need is what you can see here in blue, and this is what's called some transition sentences. These are going to allow me to connect the lead to my text, so the rest of what I've written. So let's see what you think about how I blended my lead to my actual narrative. The song of the loons echoes across the lake, filling the night with a peaceful symphony. On these calm summer nights, I sit on the deck at my camp, listening and relaxing. This special spot renews my spirit after a long, hard year. So what I wanted to do in this introduction is have that lead that builds that mood, that sets the stage for where this place is. And then I wanted to connect it to my camp. So I talked about sitting on the deck of my camp. Because there's loons, I'm listening. And because I'm listening, I'm relaxing. And then the other thing that will help you connect this Song of the Loons to the story of my camp is that this is a special spot. So what I did is I took a setting the mood lead, and then I carefully thought about how I can connect that idea with what I had already written about my family's camp. So what I have is my first element, number 1, that's my lead. You like the yellow? Part 2 in purpley blue. That's my transition. That allows me to move smoothly from one idea to the next. That allows me to move from the Song of the Loons to my family's camp. And the third section, that really begins the body of my writing. So now, if I look at this in the state that it's in, I have a good introduction with parts 1 and 2. Part 3 is now the body of my narrative. My narrative's not done because in our next lesson, we're going to be talking about active verbs. So I might want to look at the verbs that I've used and maybe come up with something that's a little bit more descriptive. But for today, what I want you to do is take the lead that you wrote, put it at the very beginning of your narrative, and try to make sure that you have a really smooth transition from your lead to your actual 144-word narrative. And it might take 1 or 2 sentences to make it flow from one piece to the next.